gotta say, fingers crossed. Fingers fucking crossed. Cause it's like, yo, it seems like only a certain demographic of people want to do the most heinous shit and get away with it. But I could be wrong because sometimes some of those heinous people may look like me. But when I say the type of person, matter of fact, after I play the video, y'all will understand. Cause well, what the fuck was you thinking? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But what the fuck was you thinking? But go ahead, let go.
This guy took the lives of 4 students and really thought he can get away with it because he was getting a PhD in criminology. His name is Brian Colberger. He's 28, living in Pullman, Washington, and socially, he is not okay. He stays right across the state line from the University of Idaho, and that was not a coincidence, but we will get to that later. For now, just know he picked that location on purpose. Anyways, Brian was obsessed with crime and not in a normal way. When he wasn't in class studying for criminology, he was spending his free time trying to figure out how to commit a crime and not get caught. And I'm not exaggerating, he literally posted an online survey asking former inmates how they picked their victims, whether they planned it, how did they cover it up, what tools they used, and what mistakes were made. And while allegedly planning this entire thing, he had applied for an internship with the local police, claiming he just wants to help analyze the public safety data, when really he just wanted to study how cops work so he could figure out how to never get caught. And then one night, after months of studying how to get away with murder, he decides it's time to test it all out. He picks this house on King Road and
Like, can we really get into the psyche? I don't mean to personally get into it, but can we figure out what the fuck be up with people? It's like, out of all the things you could do on the planet, travel the world, to come online, make great fucking content, out of all the fucking things you can do, why is this thing something that people always come back to think about? Like, there's always some weirdo dude that if you watching this and you one of those weirdos that just go out in the forest and like stone animals for no reason, you're somebody like him. I don't care if you think I'm calling you out. I purposely don't give a fuck. But why is that the thing? It's like, what is your what the fuck that is? Like, I can't tell you what that is because I can never have the mindset of just wanting to do something that irreparable unless somebody did something to my family, bro. It's like, I never would understand that, and it seems like it's just getting worse and worse by the day.
don't know exactly why he chose that one, but it is where 6 students from the University of Idaho lived. Some people think he chose it because it was in Idaho while he lives in Washington, meaning that if anyone ever suspected him, then Idaho police would have a much harder time trying to investigate someone from across state lines, and that would buy him just enough time to disappear. So Brian continues with the plan and starts stalking the house, figuring out who lives in which room, who parks where, what time do they get home, who stays up late, and which lights stay on the longest. He even memorizes the floor plan, like in detail. And I don't know why, but the thought of someone knowing your house better than you do, eventually, after tracking them long enough to know their routine better than they do, he picks the night he's going to destroy everything. November 13th, 2022, he pulls up at around 3:30 in the morning in a white Hyundai Elantra. And just like he expected, the lights are still on, so he doesn't park. Instead, he loops around the block once, and then again for the next 30 minutes. It's almost like he was waiting for the exact second they let their guard down to go in. Around that same time, Xana is on the second floor, awake in bed, scrolling through TikTok. She gets hungry and decides to order DoorDash. At 3:59 a.m., her food gets dropped off at the front of the house. But as the driver's leaving, they see something or someone. It's Brian circling the house again, and the Dasher gets a very weird feeling, like that gut deep instinct that something is off. She doesn't say anything and just leaves immediately. A minute later, Xana walks out to grab her food. She comes back inside, and then all of the lights in the house go off. And that is exactly what he was waiting for. At 4:07 a.m., Brian pulls around to the back of the house where it is pitch dark and parked. He gets out of the car while wearing an all-black face mask and gloves while carrying an edged weapon. He walks up to the second floor sliding glass doors, pulls it open like he already knew it'd be unlocked, and steps inside. He moves through the kitchen quietly like he knows where everything is, which he did. He then heads to the third floor and walks into Maddie's room. But what he doesn't expect is that but she isn't alone. Kaylee is in there too. They're both asleep together in the same bed, but that doesn't stop him. He pulls out the knife, the one that he had hidden in the sheath of his hip, and attacks him right there while they're sleeping. Meanwhile, Xana's downstairs. She just walked into the kitchen, but then she notices the sliding glass door is cracked open. And then she hears these heavy, repetitive thuds coming from upstairs, and I can only imagine she's just standing there completely frozen. Like, why is the sliding door open, and what the hell is that sound? She starts walking towards the stairs, and somewhere along the way, she either sees or hears him right there in the hallway. Maybe she saw the weapon, maybe the blood, maybe just the look in his eyes, but whatever it was enough to make her run. She turns and boats back to her room where Ethan is sleeping, but Brian chases her down at full speed. He follows her down that hallway straight into the room that she thought would protect her. And somewhere in that chaos, he drops the sheath to his knife. That one mistake will destroy everything for him, but he doesn't realize that just yet. He storms into Xana's room, and what happens next we'll never fully know, but we do know this. Xana fought for her life. She had defensive wounds. She tried to stop him. She tried to survive. But Brian overpowered her, and then he turns to Ethan, who was likely asleep, and takes his life too. Now, this wasn't part of Brian's plan at all. He was not expecting anyone to fight back. And for a second, he actually sits down on Xana's chair to catch his breath. A few seconds later, he gets up and walks towards the kitchen, but what he doesn't know is that someone else in the house is awake. Dylan, one of the roommates, starts hearing these weird noises. She cautiously opens her bedroom door just enough to be able to peek into the hallway, and she sees him. She freezes, doesn't scream, doesn't even say a word, she just stares, trying to make sense of what she's seeing. But the only thing that sticks to her were those dark, bushy eyebrows and those evil eyes. She shuts her door, locks it, sits on her bed, and immediately starts texting her other roommates to warn them, but no one's answering. Eventually, Beth, who's on the first floor, wakes up and answers. Now both of them are panicking, and at some point, Dylan musters up the courage to leave her room and go downstairs to Beth's room. But as she walks through the living room and turns her head into Xana's room, all she sees is a body on the floor. Freaked out, she immediately runs downstairs into Beth's room, and the two of them locked themselves in there for the next couple of hours. They both fell asleep and woke up later on thinking maybe it was all a dream, but they were not prepared for what came next. And look, I know people judge them for not calling 911 right away, but honestly, unless you have lived through a moment like that, you have no idea what you will do. Meanwhile, all of this is happening at around 4:20 in the morning. Brian ran out of that house and drove right back across the border into the states of Washington. He wipes his car down, hides his clothes, probably dumps the weapon somewhere, which by the way, they still haven't found. And by 5:20 in the morning, he is back at home in his apartment. He even had the nerve to take this hideous photo of himself the next morning, like he is some star of the next episode of How to Get Away with Murder. But back at the crime scene, police had found the knife sheath that Brian dropped, and they send it straight in to DNA testing. But there is one problem. Brian did not have a criminal record, so when they ran it through the system, nothing came up, which honestly must have made him feel invincible, like, haha, you can't catch me. But what he didn't count on is how petty the FBI can be when you try to outsmart them. The FBI had to get creative, and so they used something that's called genetic genealogy. Basically, they took the DNA and then they uploaded it on one of those sites, kind of like Ancestry, not to find him, but to find someone related to him.
Yeah, family match. You're using your brain. I like that. But what the fuck? I'ma end it right here because it's really like there's nothing I can say to this type of shit. Like, what type of human is you? What type of human is you? You did all of that shit just to see if you can get away with it? For what? I don't think it's that you wanted to get away with it. I think you had a fascination with actually doing some shit and you have graduated. You know, like how serial killers start, because they do say serial killers start with animals, and then the itch they can't scratch keeps coming, and then you finally scratch the itch. But that picture the next day, like, you can tell something is wrong with him just by looking, at least for me. And it's like, yo, I don't know. I say everybody should have one of them with them at all times. You feel me? One with you at all times, goddamn. And it's like, I don't care how scared the cops feel, but this is what happens sometimes. Some people, these people don't carry no nothing. But I'm pretty sure if he went in there, because he know the layout, if he went in there and saw somebody who could protect themselves, he wouldn't have. Tell me what y'all think in the comments.